Hello, fellow mompreneurs. Welcome to the Real Moms Podcast, the go-to space for resilient entrepreneurs who are striving for abundant living. I'm your host, Shae Spitz, a mompreneur and a realtor here in Columbus, Nebraska. Are you a mom juggling the hustle of entrepreneurship, family life, and personal growth? Well, you're in the right place. On this podcast, we dive deep into the real, unfiltered stories of incredible women who are navigating the journey of mompreneurship. We'll celebrate the victories, share practical insights, and acknowledge that it's okay to face challenges along the way. Success isn't about the destination. It's about the journey and the growth we experience as we balance our careers and the chaos of family life. Whether you're a seasoned mompreneur or just starting on this exciting path, join me and our amazing guests as we explore what it truly means to be a resilient entrepreneur striving for abundant living. Get ready for real, raw, and remarkable conversations that will inspire and uplift you. Because here at the Real Moms Podcast, we believe in the power of community, authenticity, and the strength that comes from embracing the journey together. So grab your coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's dive into the world of mompreneurship. This is the Real Moms Podcast, where we celebrate the hustle, honor the struggle, and thrive as resilient entrepreneurs living abundantly. Welcome to another episode of Real Moms Podcast. I like to start every podcast off with a motivational quote, and today's quote is, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you've imagined," and that's by Henry David Thoreau. Today, I have Tina Boyd. She is the founder of Grit and Polish Coaching, a successful investor, private money lender, and coach who began her career in HR with a passion for helping others grow. Seeking more freedom and financial independence, she transitioned into real estate and private lending, where she discovered her true calling. Along the way, Tina saw a need for more mentorship and support for women entering the industry, inspiring her to create a community that empowers women with the tools, guidance, and confidence to succeed in private money lending. So Tina, thank you so much for being here. So tell me a little bit about your journey, where it started and where you're at today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My journey started probably about 3 years ago. Like I said, I've been in HR for probably over 20 some years. And just as a caveat, it was shared with me on March 11th that my current role, because I do have a W-2, is being eliminated. And I was not upset. Yeah. I've been running the two businesses for coaching women on how to become successful private money lenders, as well as having a private money lending business where I actually lend money to women for real estate projects. And I really believe that's the path that God has me on. I really feel like my calling is to serve, in which I think there's an arm to that in HR, but it was at the point where I believed that it was time for a door to close. So I was not upset. Actually, I think I felt like I had to take care of my manager when she shared the information more so than myself. I just felt like a sense of relief because we had gone through some changes, and there's certain, I believe, when God gives you skills, and I don't feel like I'm using them properly, this is probably not the place that I'm supposed to be. So with that, my goal was to uplift women, because there's not a lot of that. I've been in the corporate world for a long time, and it was very important to me. So I kind of fell into, and making a long story short, a $17 masterclass came up on my social media. I took it. I wound up joining this mentorship, this real estate mentorship. And that's how it all began with regards to becoming a private money lender, because there wasn't, even going through the mentorship, there wasn't a lot of teachings or trainings with regards to how to be a successful private money lender. And I worked with another sister who kind of took me, under her wing and taught me everything that she knew with regards to private money lending. And I just taken that and have grown, and the business has really been taking off. The coaching business, which I started probably a year ago, has taken off because I've seen so many women make the mistakes that you have a lot of people are loaning from self-directed IRAs, their HELOCs, or personal money, and not having the right tools in place or the right legal documents in place to protect themselves, and have lost money, that's why I believe God has told me I need to step up my game, and this is what I need you to do to be to help these ladies. So kind of a nutshell of what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I truly believe that God has a plan, and Like you said, I mean, a lot of people go to a W-2 job because they think it's safe and secure, which, as you now know, that is not the case when
Right.
it comes to
Mhm.
W-2. And my mom was at a manufacturer for 31 years, and she didn't get let go, but her job was being relocated
Mhm.
to a bigger city. Well, my dad's a farmer. You can't just up and change
Right.
a farmer. So no W-2 job is secure. You don't have that security the way that we were taught growing up: go to school, get in the rat race, go to college, find a job, find a safe, secure job, and live until you die.
Exactly.
And not
Exactly.
even live, that's just like barely surviving. So, but yeah, I truly believe God has a plan. Like he encouraged you, or put these strategically things into place.
Mhm.
Um, and now you got the call, and it was probably just like a weight off your shoulders. Like it was something that you were probably wanting to go in 100%, but you didn't have maybe the confidence, or you were so used to what you've been doing for so many years that it's hard to step away. And
Correct.
then God's like, well, you know what? If you're not going to do it, I'll do it for you.
Yes.
So God works in mysterious ways.
He does. He definitely does. So,
Yeah. So when is your last day for that job then?
couple weeks.
Okay. Okay. And are you excited? Are you
Yeah, I'm
nervous?
excited. A few days later, I'm going to Italy for 8 days, so I'm good.
Right.
I am really good. I really believe. I don't know what the next step is because I've been asked, have you applied? Have you? I said, not really. I have some friends, people within my network who know that I'm not working. I
Hmm.
said, I did set up an LLC to be able to consult, if I'm like small business consulting from an HR perspective, because so many small businesses do not have that and find themselves in some, you know, a rock and a hard place, or not unable to make a decision. If I can terminate someone or whatnot because they're stealing, what should I do? So I am open to that, but I don't know what the next steps are. But I am moving forward with my real estate business. It has been growing. It is. It's rewarding that women reach out to me um, for feedback, support, and that you're trusted. And that's very important to me. The level of integrity that I work to maintain. That I want people to feel that when they're working with me, that you're working with someone that you can trust. But I'm excited for this next chapter. I don't know what it all is going to entail, but I'm definitely excited for it.
Right. And that's entrepreneurship, is you can't have it all laid out. Like I get working with some people who are very analytical, and they're like, well, we need to know what's this and the next step and this and this and this. But in entrepreneurship, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. You don't know where you're going to, you might have a goal in mind, but you don't really know how you're going to get there, and you're going to have a lot of failures. You're going to have a lot of face plants. You're going to have more fails than you have successes,
Yes.
and which most people are not prepared for that. And I think that's where like the kind of the breaking point is, as because they're not prepared for those failures, or those expectations. And
Mm-hmm.
because people look at entrepreneurs and be like, oh, it must be nice. You have so much flexibility, so much free time, which is the exact opposite. Yes, you have a little bit more flexibility, but if you're taking, the day off during the week, well, you're probably working evenings and weekends. So it's a lot of tug and pull. I would never want to go back to a W-2. I do have 3 little kids, but we have this great balance. My husband has stepped up a lot over the last several years, because my business has grown substantially. He's also an entrepreneur as well. So, but as a man, sometimes that role gets a little bit tougher. He's used to it now, but it's wasn't an easy transition to begin with.
Right.
It did kind of phase in, but we've had our battles. We have had our battles. We still have our battles, but it's gotten a lot easier. So, Tina, tell me a little bit about your journey, because when we were talking earlier before I hit record, you got a little bit emotional about your journey when you had heard me talk about how I had a mental breakdown almost 2 years ago. I really turned towards God to help me through that, in addition to the women entrepreneur, the mompreneurs in our community, to kind of, so tell me a little bit about what was it that kind of got you a little bit emotional, because obviously you must have gone through something
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Sure, happy to share this story. Oh, let's say it's probably about 4.5, 5 years ago, because my current role, I've been there about almost 3 years. But I was in a role for approximately 3 years, an HR role, um, and for a manufacturing plant. And I've always done well. Reviews are always well. I always strive to be the best and bring my A game to the table. I wound up reporting to someone that had the expectation over time that how things get done are the way that they saw how they should get done versus giving your team the freedom to you hired us for a reason, and this is what we bring to the table. And it just got to the point where I got felt like the last year and a half kind of got put into a box where there was nothing that I felt. It's one of those things where you feel like you're being harassed, or you're the work you're doing is being questioned to the point that you start questioning yourself, even though you know what you did is correct.
Right.
And that has got to the point where I've walked out the plant the one day I got to my car and I was crying. And normally, you have safety things that you have to adhere to. By the time I got to the car, I did not even have my hard hat on. I didn't have safety goggles on. I had walked through the entire plant just totally upset because you're trying to figure out what is it I'm doing wrong? What is it? You start feeling like everyone's turning against you. And it just got to the point that there was one day I was carried out on a stretcher. I had just had a one-on-one with this individual, and I couldn't breathe. And someone saw me. They knew to call 911, and I was carried down. And he said, my blood pressure was like 170 something. I don't even remember what the number was. He said, I can't even believe you're still standing. That you're going to have to go to the hospital and be. And I've never had a high blood pressure problem.
Right.
Go to the hospital and be checked out. That's when I knew I really got to do something. You took off a little bit of time, um, but when I came back to work, it was just more of the same. Of you don't wear. I was, there's an echo coming from your laptop. You don't wear a headset when you're on a Teams call. And I'd ask other people, I'm like, are you hearing this? No one's hearing anything. And what I finally figured out that there's a problem here is that I asked for them to order me this headset, or IT team. I put it on, and it's one of those USB ones. I never plugged it up, but she saw me with it on on the screen. Never said anything else to me about it. That's when I knew something's not right here, because I never plugged the USB in. I just put the headsets on, and that's when it was just at the point where things just started spiraling, and I really wound up having a mental breakdown, where it's just like I have got to, am I going to be, terminated, or what am I going to do here, Lord? What am I going to do? And I think that at that time God said, you really need to step away. And I took a short-term disability during that time, and I was probably off from that, probably about almost 5 or 6 months that I was off to figure out what I needed to do. I got into therapy. What do I need to do? I was working with a business coach at the time, and I said, I don't want to be coached on how to grow in this particular business. I need you to coach me on how to exit. And this was a tool that the company was even offering at the time. And I told her, I said, I can't utilize it that way. I've got to do something to save me. And so that is what I did during that time. And then, mind you, during that time, that February, my son was diagnosed with MS. This is while I've been off like 4 weeks. He was 25 at the time, living with me, and I heard a big thump, and I'm just like, I go back, and I said, why are you on the floor? He said, I can't move. He was paralyzed. And so, make a long story short, went to the hospital. He was in the hospital for a while. I was thinking I was going to have to retrofit my house, figure out what I was going to do to take care of him. God is good. He was, my son was always in good shape, taking care of himself. Mom, I don't eat processed food. But we went through God is so good. That's all I can just say. That the doctors were even amazed based on where the lesion was on his brain, at the base of the neck, where the highway of all your, everything with how your body works coming in and out of that area. And he started moving his toes. And I told him, I said, Justin, all I can do is pray, and that you are going to have to pray and trust God through this. And he, if you saw him today, you wouldn't even be able to tell. He regained his ability to walk. He got his job. He went back to work. Um, he has done phenomenal. Yes, he has to have treatments, a couple times a year, but you would not be able to even tell. But going through that, I had to put myself on up on the shelf again
Right.
because I had to be there for him.
Right.
And you're at the hospital. His sister came down. His dad was, it was really a rough period of time when you're struggling yourself, and then now you have to, and that's who I am. You put yourself on the shelf so that I can take care of him till he got back on his feet, and he went back to work probably a little bit before I went back because I kept thinking I cannot go back without a job. During this time, I had applied for a number of things. Nothing, nothing at all. And then one day I looked at my email like, oh my God, this company's been trying to reach me, and it's a company I'm interested in working for. And a week or two had gone by when I saw it. I did reply back, which is the job that I'm now leaving. That God made a way because at the end, all of these interviews started coming in and just got to be overwhelming. And I'm just like, God, I just need you to lead me to where it is I'm supposed to be, which is kind of how I wound up where, the role that I'm in. And it felt like a respite because I was doing the work I wanted to do in a healthy work environment, not in a toxic work environment. And so, but it's, we're at the point now that God's saying, now it's time to move on to, something else. But yeah, that was a really um, rough period. There's times that I couldn't even talk about it without crying. And it's a good thing now to see that there's other people who are going through the same thing. That how do I, how do I do this? And you're doing this, alone. I'm divorced. I wasn't in a relationship or anything at the time, and going through that alone, it was just me and God, and it was just like, how do you do this? And I think that has set just in my life over time has just set the foundation of that. At the end of the day, remembering that God has me, even though you don't see it sometimes or feel it, because you're wondering what's going to happen next. And, how am I going to take care of my child? How am I, what if he doesn't, walk again? I mean, he was paralyzed for a while. And he had such a great spirit going through this, whereas I probably would have been depressed. But he, all I can say, God is works wonderful miracles. So,
Yeah. I mean, having those and being positive doesn't mean being happy all the time, and it doesn't mean
mhm,
that everything's going to be perfect, and having that faith in God doesn't mean that your life is going to be easy, but it's having that foundation that whatever's happening, there's a plan for it and there's a reason for it, even if it doesn't end the way that you are
mhm,
hoping for or wanting for, but God truly does have a plan, and you have to give that power up to him as well. When I went through my mental breakdown, I mean, I couldn't imagine going through something like that alone. But you weren't alone because you obviously still had God.
right,
That was kind of my pivotal point to where, like, hey, I need to get closer to God. I grew up Catholic. I've always believed and I've gone to church and stuff. But it wasn't until then that that really shifted. Like, no, I want to have a relationship with God, not just
exactly.
do what I need to do to kind of go through the motions.
Mhm,
But if it wasn't for my husband, I really don't know how I would have gotten through it. He was my rock and he was my support that I remember texting him like, I can't do this today. He's like, okay, come with me. I'm going to go look at some, like,
mhm,
I just remember it. But he's like, let's go look at some land because he does real estate land sales. And I remember being in a dress and heels and I'm walking through the terrain of, farm ground or recreational ground, and we're just walking in the 100-degree temperatures, but because I couldn't mentally handle the workload that I had that
mhm,
day, so I just got away. Um, but what really brought me to where I'm at today with EXP Realty is my sponsor with EXP. He has his 5 core values are faith, health, relationship, business, and finances. And he really talks about how the 3 most important pillars of your life is your faith, your
mhm.
health, and your relationships. Because without those 3 things, if and when you have struggles in your business and your finances, if you don't have those 3 pillars, you will crumble. And that
Yeah.
was an aha moment for me, you know? And I was like, okay, because so many people focus on their business and focus on their finances that they leave their faith behind, they leave their health behind, they leave their family behind or their relationships behind. Well, then what happens? What do you do when your business and your finances struggle? And I don't mean just crumble, but like you're going to go
Right.
through hard times. You will. It's no
Mhm.
doubt about it. I don't care how successful you are, how long you've been in business you will have struggles. Now, once you get into business long enough, you can kind of like maintain those struggles. But as you know, it does become a struggle. And like I met somebody last week where he was doing millions, millions and millions a year. And one day he said his life just stopped
Wow.
because he was a hedge fund, capital funding, he raised capital and where they were like holding in the money in a hedge fund, that owner took $4 billion
Wow.
gone. And so there's a huge lawsuit, all of these things. He's like, Shae, we went from making a couple $100,000 a month to zero in a day. And that's been going on for about 21, 22 months. Um, but I mean, yeah, it's just, I mean, I couldn't fathom something along those
Right.
lines. What it would do to your family. And that's what he said. He's like, you have no idea. Like, he's like, I can handle it for the most part. Like, I know I'm going to get back to where he said, but what it's done to my family, not just his wife, but like his other, like his extended family. He's like, it's
Mhm.
crazy. So that's where like everything kind of I don't know. It's just crazy to think that, you know, somebody who's so successful also can go through some very hard times.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So one thing I kind of want to jump back over to, so the quote that you provided was go confidently in the direction of your dreams, live the life you've imagined. So speak to me about that quote and why you chose that quote.
This is so funny, and I'm going to share this with you. I worked a job. I was at several years, and I liked the job, but I had always wanted to relocate south.
Okay.
And the day that I decided to do that, and my last day was in 2007. I think it was 2007. Okay.
Okay.
This is, I don't know if you can see it here. This is the card that they gave me. You heard the year,
Oh, yeah.
2007.
Seven.
This sits
Yeah.
on my desk to this day. Okay.
That, first of
This
all, that's in mint condition.
this
So,
it is, and I'm just like all the folks who signed it when I left. Um, it meant the world to me because they knew that I had gone through a divorce, and I always wanted to relocate, and I knew it was going to be rough. The kids were seven, I think 7 and 9, somewhere around there at the time, and it was one of those things that I really believe, and I tell women, you know, it's going to take grit, it's going to take faith, and sometimes we've got to do things scared. I tell them do it scared but prepared. That you have dreams, you know, we're not dead, and it's like I don't care how old you are, just start, just do it. And that is what this means to me, is that I have dreams that I want to pursue, and they've changed over time. But at that time, the biggest dream for me was relocating south, which I wound up doing, and it was there for a number of years before I moved back to Ohio. But it still resonates with me in the business. When I started the business, why do I want to start this business? Because a lot of times you can have a lot of naysayers or people who don't. I don't think everybody, even if you've had a W-2 and you become an entrepreneur, it's different than if you're only having a W-2. It's a different mindset.
yeah.
Where are you gonna, where's your next meal coming from? Where's this, or
Mhm.
and we don't always have all those things figured out. And I'm at a state where I'm very comfortable with that, which is what I think that means, having a level of confidence, and that the dreams that I have, I believe these are dreams that God has given me to pursue over time, just my lifetime, the things that I've done, that you do that in a confident manner, because I never want to look back and say, I wish I had done this, or, I coulda, woulda, shoulda,
Mhm.
that you go off and do those things that are, at the end of the day, that you're being bold, and stepping out on faith, doing those things. So that's what that means to me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That is amazing. Because, I mean, yeah, the fact that you've had it for almost 20 years
I
is,
know it's hard to believe. I look at that, I was like, oh
and
my
it's
gosh.
not like you left at that time to go out on your own and be an entrepreneur.
No,
Like that was, you were still in the W-2, the HR role.
exactly.
And now to this day, it still resonates with you, and probably more so now than it did even back then.
Exactly.
Something made you hold on to that and carry that with you. And I think you've probably moved a couple times since then, that you still
Yes,
have that.
exactly. That is so true. Yeah, and I left a job that I loved, very secure in. I took a contract job in order to make the move to where I wanted to live. What was so funny, I did that 3 months later, I was laid off from that job. All good. I said, I know there's a plan, and then I wound up getting another job, a W-2 job after that, because I'm like, okay, how am I going to take care of my kids? But God, I always say that God makes a way. And when I look back over my life, there's never been a time where it may not have been in my time, in our human mind time,
Mhm.
but God is always on time when things happen. And that's what this means to me, is that He wants those things for us,
Yeah.
to go off and live our dreams. And the biggest thing for me is that I want to make sure the things I'm doing are bringing honor to Him. It's not just pat on the back for myself, or I've achieved, I've done nothing. I've just been used as a tool or an instrument to do the things that I believe that God has laid out for me to do. So that's why that's my favorite quote.
Well, and I read a book the other day. Oh, I don't remember what it is. I ended up giving it away to somebody else because it was so good. But it was like 87% of the people in this world don't ever find their true passion and their true purpose,
Wow.
because they live a life of comfort. One of my
Mhm.
favorite quotes is "Get comfortable being uncomfortable." And
Mhm.
I'm now to the point, I've said this before, is that I'm actually to the point where I need to be uncomfortable being comfortable, because if I'm comfortable, I am not growing. And but yeah, 84 or 87% of the people in this world never find their true passion and what their purpose is, because they don't seek it. It's okay to not know what it is. I'm still younger. I don't know if real estate is my true passion.
Mhm.
But it's not okay to get up every day and not search for it, and not ask God for it. One of the things that I talk to God about, I used to do it morning and night. I need to get back to doing it, but it's thank you, God, for my gosh, what is it? Thank you, God, for choosing me for your calling. Help me to be patient as you guide me towards full revelation of your purpose. I surrender to your perfect timing, knowing that you have my best interest at heart. In Jesus' name, amen. Because it's not about our timing, it's about His timing.
Exactly.
Having the faith that it will happen, but you have to continue to pursue it. You can't just sit
Exactly.
back and like, it's going to come to me. No,
It
you
doesn't
got
work
to
that
work
way.
for it.
Yes.
It doesn't work that way. God's not going to be like, hey, you sat back long enough. Let me give this to you. Because you have to be seeking that opportunity. You have to be
Mhm.
seeking the abundance. You have to be seeking how you can help others and your purpose and your passion. And like you said, go into it confidently with grit and faith that it's going to work out and this is where you're meant to be. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Even if
Right.
it's God's plan for you and it's your purpose, doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It's actually probably going to be a lot harder. He just wants to see if you have the grit and the confidence to continue to go through it.
Exactly. And that is so true. And I said, and what the caveat here, it is not going to be without challenges. And I'm going to share this with you, and hopefully this means something or to your listeners. Um, the road has always been bumpy, but it's been so worth it. And the reason I say that is I was in a relationship for almost 3 years. This is recent. We were engaged September 11th, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
He called off the engagement January 2nd this year. Great relationship. I still don't have any answers for that, but God's handling that. Um, 3 or 4 weeks later, I have a borrower default on a loan. So now I'm having to foreclose on a house. And then we wind up to the step of now you don't have a job. All of that in that time frame. This is all this year.
Right.
So it's a lot. And it's by the grace of God and God leading me. I always tell people therapy is my friend. Leading you to the right people, and I've got great friends. I've got a great friend foundation and family, but that have moved me through those transitions in life that, okay, there must be something more for me beyond this. Yes, it's devastating. And I could, if it had been under my own power, I probably would not be sitting here having this conversation with you right now. It's only by the grace of God that I've survived these things and worked to understand how I move forward confidently in spite of these things happening. And I hear God always tell me, Tina, I'm working behind the scenes. I'm working this out, you know, for my good. So there was a lot. There's a lot
Right.
that's said.
Right, right. And like you said, that was just this year. Like it's
Yes,
not, these struggles don't just end. You just
correct.
get better.
Exactly.
um
Exactly.
and I don't and yeah, it just yeah, they don't end. You just get better at it and you just really turn to the faith. Okay, well, here's another obstacle, here's another hurdle, here's another
That's
mountain.
it.
We'll
That's
get
it.
through it. I'll get through it. And that makes a big difference. So Tina, tell me what is one piece of advice that you would give your younger self?
One piece of advice I'd give my younger self is don't wait for permission. So many times we wait to be told, especially as women, what to do, what you
Mhm,
can do, what you can't do. The
mhm.
biggest thing for me, and I actually put this, it was something yesterday on social media, but I had shared that it is don't wait for permission. You have been, put on a path to run a race. We can't run a race standing in place.
Right. Right.
No excuses, make it happen.
Right. I know.
So that is the piece that I would give myself because you question yourself, you know. It's so funny. I raised my daughter totally different than how I was raised.
Mhm.
It's like you go out, you be bold,
Yeah.
you you show up big in the world. That's what God has for you. Whereas when I came up, it was more like, you're more reserved. You
Mhm.
didn't question things. And I'm totally opposite from that now. And that is the piece of advice I probably give myself is to, don't wait for permission to do things.
Right.
That, God has a path for all of us. My thing is I can't stand still that I can't run the race when I'm
Mhm.
just standing in place waiting for somebody to tell me, get on your mark, get set and go.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody's gonna come to save you. You have to do it
Exactly.
on your own. And
Exactly.
I was at a coaching couple classes last week, and just taking action, even if you don't know what action to take, pick up the phone, just call somebody, call anybody, do something. And it's interesting that and I've done this forever, and I don't think I realized it until they were having that conversation. It's like if you don't know what to do, just do something. Like I don't care, go for a walk, make some calls.
Right.
Well, when I feel like I forget everything anymore. But anyway, so like I'm like, oh, okay, well, like I don't know what to do, so I get on my phone, I just start typing, like I'm gonna text somebody, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna actually text this person. So like I just start typing on my phone, not knowing who I'm gonna text, and then it finally, this back, delete that, let me contact this person instead. But it's interesting because I do that a lot. Like I don't know what I'm doing, but I just start doing something and then it clicks. I'm like, oh, okay, that's who I need to call. It is the weirdest thing. And I've done it forever, but I've never realized that like when you don't have anything to do, do something. That's kind of what I've done. Like I just start
Mhm.
texting nobody. And then it finally dawns on me like, oh, this is who I need to reach out to. So then that's what I do. So it is really interesting. But yeah, go at it um, with boldness, with grit and
Mhm.
conviction that you're going to make something happen. You may not have it all figured out now, but you will. And like you said, it's not going to be easy, but it is going to be worth it.
Exactly.
It is
Exactly.
going to be worth it. So Tina, how can somebody get a hold of you if they're looking to get into like the money lending, the real estate, a coaching mentor with you? How can they contact you, and what does that kind of look like on their end?
Sure. My email address is tina at gritandpolishcoaching.com. My website is also www.gritandpolishcoaching.com. They can reach me through there, or you can email me. I am happy to have people reach out to me for help or having understanding what is private money lending. How could I get involved? And I'm all focused on women. I also manage a personal Facebook group called Women Flipping the Script, a PML sisterhood. We have almost about 500 members of that group, and it's my goal is to always provide them, and to thank God for the feedback I get from the group, providing solid content. It's not just fluff. because I want people to make sure that they're doing things to protect themselves. This is a business, and I want women to understand that, because a lot of times we can lead from a place of empathy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you are running a business and having an understanding that, if someone's not paying you back, what are those next steps?
Right.
That I need to have in place, or what documentation do I need to have in place before lending on a loan. I've worked with a number of women who have not done these things, and then we're working together to, find them an attorney to figure out what their next steps are. So the biggest thing for me is to be able to provide a solid framework so that this does not happen. We just finished I host probably quarterly, a 6-week private money lending masterclass. We just finished that up, and we go through everything from what it means to be a PML, what it means to be changing your mindset, conducting your due diligence, who you need to have on your team to be successful, because this is not something that you do on your own. In addition to God, it takes a village to having the right people, whether that's an appraiser or an attorney, what have you, or other private money lenders or borrowers who are on your team that can help you become better at what it is that you do. So that is what I do for women. So that is a way for them to get in touch with me if someone is interested in private money lending.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we'll add that to the show notes as well. And this just kind of came to me. This wasn't planned. But what is, like, if somebody's looking to get into business, what are the 2 or 3 most important partners or aspects to a business that you feel would be critical? I have some that in my mind, I want to see what yours are, and then I'll share mine.
The first thing is
Or I guess people, more so people. I mean, systems too, but like people. What are the most important people that you could have in your business?
It's going to be mindset. The first thing is why am I getting into the business? It's like we can hear I can make money, but it's the mindset, because a lot of times we think we want to do something, then we sit on the fence and we never pull the trigger to make it happen. So how do I switch my mindset to be bold and make these decisions that I need to start the business, and then surrounding yourself with the right individuals, networking. Who do I need to have on my team? How do I? What is it? Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. So is that a class? Because sometimes we talk ourselves out of, and all goes with mindset, I think, too, is that, I don't want to pay for a class. Well, how are we going to learn? I've taken classes, I've taken mentorships, I've done a number of things to learn, because I don't know it all. I know a lot, but there's a lot I don't know. So the biggest thing is your mindset, surrounding yourself with the right people, and then asking questions, because a lot of times people don't ask questions, and you just get led by the nose to do something that may not be to your benefit. So those would probably be the biggest things, for me when you're starting a business.
Yeah, that mindset piece is more emotional intelligence, is having the emotional intelligence. And what I mean by that is taking, like, when you are in high stress positions, because when you do deal with real estate and finances, you do come across, some of the worst sides of people because of stress. But having that emotional intelligence, and I had a situation just 2 days ago, where I would, like, me telling the story, people are like, how were you so calm? I'm like, it'll work out. Like, your relationship with these other agents is so important. But it was kind of like the craziest downward spiral, that it was just going down. And I was like, you just stay cool, calm, and collect. You have those hard conversations, whether it's with the seller, the other agent's broker, the agent, and you have that emotional intelligence, and you find what a good thing to be for everybody, like making it work for everybody. So emotional intelligence is huge. Like, one of my co-agents, she's like, I'm so glad that was you and not me. I'm like, it really wasn't that big of a deal, because I had hard conversations. I'm very transparent. And I spoke to the broker and that agent, and we worked out a deal, like, hey, if this comes to fruition, I'm happy to send you a referral. Do I need to? Absolutely not. But to keep the peace, 100%, I will do all of that. But then a lot of things that, especially when you get into the business, people try to do their own taxes. So I would say the right CPA can be a make or break in your business. Exactly. I'm on my 4th CPA. I've been with him for 3 years now. I'll never change. He's amazing. But I did go through 3 at the beginning because I was like, it's not anything wrong with them. It was just like they weren't a good fit. It's like going to a foot doctor for heart problems. It's just, it's not
Exactly.
going to work.
Exactly.
And an attorney is huge
Yes.
to have on your side, one that you can trust. And then, like you said, I mean, and what you do is having a mentor or a coach or paying for classes, because those are just kind of cheat sheets to get you to another level rather than constantly failing. Like, hey, let's kind of take a cheat sheet. Let's pay for these classes or pay for this mentor or pay for this coach. And the more you do, the more expensive those coaches get.
Right.
I pay a lot of money for my coaches. And you got to change. Like, I had a coach for almost 2 years. I paid him a lot of money, and it was just time for a change.
Right.
So then I changed over to Coach Michael Burt, which you said something about flip the script. He has a book called Flip the Script. I'm actually reading it now, so I thought that was kind of ironic.
All right.
Yeah, it's called Flip the Script. So you'll have to, his name's Coach Michael Burt. But I just started that book, and it's really interesting. But yeah, like you said, it's just flipping that mindset of how to do business. And one of the things that they talked about is, like, in business, we try to do the same thing over and over and over again, hoping that it's going to work, which you do need to give things a try and a chance. But like in the book that I read, it's called You Too. You know, you have a fly that's just banging up against a window, and he's trying to get to the outside world. And no matter how hard he tries, he's going to die. He's going to die doing that. He's not going to get to the outside world. Whereas if the fly turned 90 degrees, there's an open door. And all he would have to do is just shift his mindset a little bit, a lot less resistance, and fly out that door. So sometimes it's just a shift, like something so small that can make you, it's called, it's like taking that quantum leap. So like just that little shift for that fly could take him to where he wants to go in a lot less resistance. So it's keeping up with making those changes, shifting with the market, all of those things, as you probably are familiar with too. But
exactly, and remaining committed.
Yeah. You get, like, real estate agents, they're in the real estate world for years and years, 10, 30, 40, 50 years. They're doing the same thing over and over again. And then they get to a point like, why is this not working? Well, because the market shifted. The world has changed. If you don't change with it, you will fall behind. You know, just like Kmart, Shopko, they refused to go online. They went out of business. You know what I mean? So like, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So just kind of a little tidbit of information. But Tina, I truly appreciate you being here with us. And if anybody is interested, obviously you shared your information. We have it in the show notes. So please, everybody, reach out to Tina, ask for questions, see if she's a good fit for you, and if you're a good fit for her. And I'm sure she'd love to help you however she can. So
thank you so much.
Yes, you are welcome, and you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You do the same. Thank you for having me.
And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Real Moms Podcast. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their story and insights today. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And hey, sharing is caring, right? Share this podcast with your fellow mompreneurs, friends, and anyone who you feel could use a dose of inspiration. Share it on your social media as well. But most importantly, if you found this episode helpful, please leave me a 5-star review. This helps get our information out to those who have never heard or seen us before. Are you feeling inspired and you're sure that you could add some value to the podcast? Shoot me a message and let's talk. We love hearing from you. So connect with us on social media. Tag me at Shae J Spitz. That's ShaeJSpitz. And share your thoughts and takeaways, or even suggest topics you'd like to have us explore more in the future episodes. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Your resilience is your strength, and your pursuit of abundant living is truly remarkable. As always, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep embracing the beautiful chaos of being a mompreneur. Until next time, take care, stay real, and keep living abundantly.